welcome to the Joie Miller Podcast. I'm Pastor Joie Miller from Champion Christian Center, and wow, are you in for a treat today. As you know, we have been talking about taking responsibility for our lives, and one of the topics we've covered is to take responsibility for your health. And today I have a Senior Olympian gold medalist here on the podcast to share his secrets for longevity. He's recently written a book, Road to 100, 10 Pillars for Strong and Happy Aging from a Senior Olympic cyclist. So we have Jack Eckenrode, and it's co-written by his granddaughter, Caitlin Radulik. And so you are going to be blessed today by the insight and just the overall mentality that Jack has to share with us. Welcome, Jack.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction.
Yes, I was so excited to have you on the show. I was nervous. I was like, this is an Olympian, just an amazing man. So,
well, I've been lucky. I have had good health, and I've been in the Olympics since I was 75 years old, and I go every year,
wow.
Which is nice. And my wife, she was included, and we entered the Olympics on a basis of, I used to run the 50 and the 100-yard dash, but we liked biking a lot.
Yeah.
And she was a good bikeless, and she was a little bit better than I was at the bike. And
she won the gold medal first.
Yeah, she
right?
got the gold medal every year, every time we competed, which we competed in a lot of different cities, and I would get a ribbon. Big deal, but finally, as I got older, I had, I think, a little bit less competition.
Yeah, right.
And one of the things I tell in the book is that if you can't beat them, outlive them.
I love that. If you can't beat them, outlive them. Longevity, right?
Right, that's important.
Jack, if you don't mind telling us, how old are you right now?
I'm 97, and I'll be turning 98 in November.
Amazing.
And one of the things that I was famous for, I was born on election day.
Oh, wow.
And that was a story because when I was a little kid, my aunts and uncles would say, "When were you born?" And I'd say, "On election day," and they'd correct me. Say, "You can't say that. What day were you born on?" Because that varies.
Right.
Yeah. So I like that.
That's amazing.
Born on
so
election
good.
day.
Well, I can't wait to just hear your story. We're going to go through the 10 pillars that you've identified as reasons why you've experienced such longevity in your life. And right. I love your mentality, Jack, of seizing the most of life. And we talked a little bit before the podcast that it's so sad when people get to a stage in their life and they just stop living.
Right.
But your pillars set you up that you can keep living. That's what longevity, continuing to live until you die, basically living
right.
up to the moment. And so share with us a little bit about your story. If you haven't gotten the book, get the book. We're going to share how you can get it at the end of the podcast, but a little bit about the story and what brought you to the point where in your 70s, you decided to do something new and to take on new challenges.
Right. Well, I think the best thing I had going for me, I went out for sports when I was in high school, but I was sort of tall and skinny.
Yeah.
And as a result, I usually dressed up for the football games and the basketball games and such, but I never played because I sat on the bench all the time. So I wasn't real active in high school as an athlete, but one thing I did do since I was a little kid, I did a lot of biking, and which means I'm 96, 97 now, so I biked since I was a little kid,
Yeah.
And that's important.
And you just liked it.
I liked it, yeah. And then I went to grade school and high school, and I went to Duquesne University, and this was back in the 40s, right after the bigger war, World War II. And I competed a little bit of basketball and such when I was in college, but I was never any good. I just joined a group, and I belonged to a fraternity. We had a basketball team, and I was part of it. But I like to tell a lot of people that when they graduate from high school, if you're like me, I was still young and immature when I graduated, and I said, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And the best thing I did, I joined the Air Force.
That's good.
And I went down there for the physical, and they said, your eyes are good and you're in good shape. Why don't you try to get into flight school? And I said, oh man, that sounds great. So that's what happened. I had to go to a hospital and get operated on to get in perfect health. And that's where I met my original wife, there.
Tell us a little bit about her, about Margaret.
Oh yeah, Margaret was from Conneaut, Ohio, and she was taking up nursing down at Mercy Hospital down there in Pittsburgh. And that's where I went there to get operated on. I had a hernia that had to be patched up. So in those days, he didn't go in and out of a hospital. You had to spend a week there. They make sure you're in good health before they sent you home. And that's where I met Margaret, and she, we sort of were buddies from that point on.
She was your nurse?
Yeah, she was my nurse.
And when she passed, you've been married for how many years?
Oh, we were married for 68 years.
68 years together. Yeah. Talk about longevity. That is amazing. Yeah. So good. So good.
So anyways, when I went into flight school, they had a calisthenic program to keep in shape while we're learning how to fly. And that was for a full year.
Wow.
And I used to tell people how we were at flight school on the campus there, that if you ever caught you walking instead of running, they would gig you, and but that went on for a whole year, and that's how I remember a lot of the calisthenics I take today are the same ones that I was taught.
Wow. So it just got into you. That's what you do.
Yeah, that's what I do. I did it a lot, and then I didn't do those later on until I was around 75 years old, and I said, I got to get more active. So I got into a program where I do them every day.
Yes.
I do them every day loyally, and part of it is a stationary bike, and I have one machine that I row.
Row machine,
yeah. Yeah, and every day, I don't miss. I feel so good after I do it that I that's part of my living.
Yeah. And that's the first pillar of your book, is to move every day.
Move every day.
Move every day. And I want to read one of these testimonies, because the testimonies are pouring in of how your book has inspired people to keep on living and to have a new perspective of life. One of the testimonies is from Rick, who is 78 years old. And I don't know if you've heard these testimonies yet, but it says and this is speaking to Caitlin in response to helping you write this book. It says, your grandpa's exercises inspired me to try 20 minutes a day on my own. I taped the tracker to my bedroom door, and I even bought a yoga mat at 78 years old. I love this.
That's good.
So just having the mentality of moving every day, and that's something that was in you that when you had a little more time, you re-implemented. It was a habit you had created.
Right.
And so you talk about in your book all the benefits of just moving.
Right. And actually the calisthenics, once you do them, you remember them, and actually what they're doing, you're starting it from your head down to your toes, and you move every part of your body. And I tell people the top part is really important.
Yeah.
To get circulation of blood through your brain.
Oh, that's good.
And then a lot of us are in the latter years are driving still. Hey, when you come to an intersection, what are you going to do? You're going to turn your head.
Yeah.
It's not turn your body, turn
right.
your head. And I think that has a lot to do with, my mind's pretty straight, know. And then as far as the ones that I have for my feet, that is to help me for my balance when I walk.
I love
and
it.
And it's very important. As I always say, you don't want to fall. So take care of your feet.
This is so good because as we've talked about health, being proactive, not waiting until something's wrong to address it. And that's what your calisthenics do. If I'm hearing that proactivity of keeping the blood flowing to your brain and truly like having the mentality of like, I'm not going to stop living. I have a long life, so I better stay in shape and I better stay cognitive and well balanced to live that life.
Right. And then one of the first thing I do, I get on a stationary bike, which is no big deal. I actually got it off the street that someone threw away years ago. I'm still using the same one. And when I'm on that for at least 20 to 25 minutes to start, it gives me a chance to meditate and pray.
Yeah.
I have a lot of kids to pray for.
12 kids. If you missed that part of the story,
I had 12
Jack
kids,
and his wife Margaret have 12 kids.
Yeah. 12
well, adults now with grandkids.
We had 6 boys and 6 girls, and we planned it that way. No.
Well, yeah, exercise helps you plan for 12 kids.
Actually, but on that bike, when I concentrate, I plan my day, what I'm going to do, and I don't want to forget some of the stuff, and it's nice. And I think everybody needs a little time to meditate every day, and I have a lot of people to pray for.
Yes, you do. That is completely true. So, and so through that planning your day, one of the other pillars that you talk about in your book, the second pillar is setting goals. And this is right up my alley, Jack. I love setting goals. I love goal setting. I love living on purpose. So I want to read a testimony before we dive into the second pillar that you received. And this is from Pat, who is 83 years old. And it says this: I'm signed up for the Senior Games. I've been training on the trail thanks to Jack and setting new goals for my life. Pat, who is 83, you've inspired to sign up for the Senior Games and to get going. So talk a little bit about how important it is to set goals and continue to set goals.
Oh, really? The Olympics came into Pittsburgh when my wife and I were about 75 years old. And that helped us to get started into the Senior Olympics. And then we learned that they come up every other year at different cities. So we like that because we're going to keep going, but we'll be going to another city. And we went to Louisville the next time, and that was sort of fun. That's close to home. And then we got into Birmingham, and I've been down in Fort Lauderdale. And one of the better ones, we went out to San Francisco. And of course, when we were biking, they were up hills and down hills. It was pretty rough.
Now, just to keep in context, how old were you when you're doing these things, traveling to San Francisco?
I'm in my 80s.
In your 80s?
80s, yes.
And so, like, you and your wife would get your bikes. Would you drive? Would you get on a plane?
No, we drove. Most of the time we drove. But sometimes we had to fly and then rent a bike, to compete.
I want to pause you for a second, Jack, if I could, not to interrupt your train of thought, but I love what you're saying here because you're in your 80s, you're traveling to San Francisco, you're taking your bikes, you're driving, and one of your core memories is riding that bike across the Golden Gate Bridge, in your 80s. So what is the mentality that you feel like, I feel like a lot of people don't. They think, I can't do that. I'm too old. I could never. How would you address those lies or those limits that try to come on us?
Well, if you join the Senior Olympics, you're going to be in a different city every other year. And it could be like we're going up to Iowa this summer. And then 2 years after that is going to be in Oklahoma.
Wow.
And so I want to go to Oklahoma. Yeah. I do.
And you'll be about 100 on the Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'll be close to 100.
That's amazing.
I'll be close to 100.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do it. Just do it. Don't let lies and limits tell you that you can't do it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but that trip to San Francisco, we knew it was going to be hilly because there's a lot of hills down there, and it was hilly. But when we got on that bridge, we got off our bikes and looked down at the water. Oh, that was thrilling. It was so high.
Amazing. And to think that you'd be having like those moments still like later in your life. Like a lot of people think, 60, I've lived the best part of my life. And you guys were just getting started.
Right. Yeah. We have I would encourage anybody that is still active in sports a little bit, like track, to compete with the Senior Olympics, because it's the people you meet really encourage you to live longer.
Yes, that's so good.
Yeah.
So some of your goals, one is to compete in the 2025 Olympics in Iowa.
Right.
So you're gearing up for that.
That's this summer.
Yeah. And then your second goal is to live to 100.
Oh, of course.
So you got that. I think you need to up the number in that, Jack.
Yeah, it's funny how you think of time, and now we're in 25, and you think, oh, I was born in 27. I'm getting close. You work reverse and reverse.
Now, what's your? I know this is off of the pillars, but like, what's your mentality when it comes to age? Are you like, oh, that's just a number?
Oh, that's certainly. I don't think, as long as I feel good, I don't even think about how old I am.
That's so good.
Yeah, but every day though, I do those exercises, and one of the biggest reasons I do it is I don't want to be using a cane or a walker, and as long as I can use my legs, and your legs are very important for your balance. So most of those calisthenics are laying on your back and doing leg exercises.
Wow. That's so good.
Yeah.
So good, Jack. All right, your third pillar that you live by is to eat well, but still enjoy dessert. So let's hear a testimony about this. It says this from Amanda. It says, see, he eats dessert. We can walk at the mall and still enjoy a treat. And I heard that you like dessert.
Oh, yeah.
So talk to me about how important nutrition and what you put into your body is as you age and for longevity.
Well, as far as the calisthenics, I have to do that every day. And one of the most important things I do along with that, I call Alexa and ask her to play music for me. And I usually get things in the 70s or the 60s, big band music.
I love it.
And that, I don't think I could do it without the music, really. I have a lot of things that I want to do, but I have to have that music on.
That's good. It takes you back. It gives you the pep in your step.
And then as far as eating, you know what? I have a scale in my bathroom, and I'm on that scale every day. And Monday's usually a bad day because I'm up a little bit on weight, because it's all, you can get a change in your weight every day. It's nice. You can correct it right away. Hey, cut back a little bit, on your sweets or whatever you want to do.
I love that. That's so good. I try to weigh myself every day too. Just so
weigh yourself every day. But music is really important. Google and Alexa's, thank God.
What's your favorite song, Jack?
I played Tommy Dorsey, Stan Kenton, big band music.
I like big band too. If you come into my kitchen at dinner time, we always have big band playing, or we'll have the old, like Frank Sinatra or something from that era. So good. So, and then eat dessert too. I love when you talk about nutrition, you have a saying, which I love. It's not one size fits all when it comes to nutrition. You have to do what works with your body.
Right.
But there's certain principles that you live by. 3 meals a day, no late night eating.
Yeah, and I take 2 to 3 prunes a day. Believe it or not, I'm older and I need help. So that takes care of it.
Yeah.
Which is natural.
Right.
It's a natural way to go.
And I love this because a lot of your thinking is just proactive. Like, you do what you know to do to take care of your body.
Yeah.
And that's so important. And weighing yourself every day. There's natural indicators as we age that if we listen to our body, and one of them is, I know, like, it's looking at your stool and monitoring all that. It's getting on the scale and seeing what your weight is. And so those are natural indicators of health that as we're being proactive with our lifestyle, we can just see how our body is doing.
Yeah, and actually, if you look at the time, it might only be an hour.
Yeah.
You have, 24 hours. You take 1 hour to take care of yourself. And you feel so much better if you do it every day. When I'm finished, I feel good.
Yes. Now, what's your favorite dessert?
Oh, my favorite dessert is, of course, ice cream.
Ice cream. I love it.
Yeah.
So good.
But I eat custards and Jello and things like that.
Yeah.
Of
Do you go to
course.
Cassiola's there in Cecil?
Yeah.
Cassiola's ice cream, so good. All right, so we talked about moving every day. We talked about having a good nutrition. We talked about setting goals, and so volunteering is another pillar to what you would deem as a key to longevity.
Yeah.
And so let's hear what John, who is 62, said. He said, "We are volunteers at St. Clair Hospital and met your grandpa during his monthly iron transfusion. Wow, this book reminded us why we both love being volunteers and the impact it has had on us and the people in the hospital, including your awesome grandpa."
Right.
And so inspiring people to volunteer and to give back.
Volunteering is so important. And I belong to the Meals on Wheels, and I deliver meals every Friday. And I get attached to a lot of the people I deliver to, and they die, of course, and I lose them. But I think volunteering is one of the best things you can do. They say, well, how do you volunteer? Well, I volunteer because I belong to a lot of clubs. I belong to the Elks, and I belong to the Moose.
Yeah,
And
I
belong to the SMPJ, and I belong to the American Legion, and I just belong to any club that comes down the pike. And they say, well, how can you afford it? Well, you're only paying a minimal for a membership, and you got to remember that money goes to the club, and all they have is volunteers. They don't have employees. So every penny you spend at a club is going to somebody locally.
That's so
normally.
good.
Yeah.
Hey, and thanks for listening to the Joie Miller Podcast. If you love what you're learning, I would encourage you to head over to joiemiller.co and check out our next collective. Our second collective that we're offering is for women in leadership. Whether you're in ministry or leading a corporation, this is for you. We're going to be learning different modules on how to grow as a leader, as well as navigating our emotional health as leaders. So go to joiemiller.co/collective and sign up for our Ladies Who Lead collective beginning soon. I love your mentality on volunteering. You volunteer at the blood bank, you volunteer Meals on Wheels, and then tell us what you're doing every morning.
Oh, every morning. This falls. I don't understand what you mean, but
the water on the trail.
Oh, the water on the trail. Oh,
filling up the water.
Oh, okay. I have a house on a trail, and it's called a Panhandle Trail, which it's about 50 miles long that you can bike, which is nice. I'm right in the middle, so I can go north or south, which way the wind blows. It has a lot to do with it.
That's so good. So Jack lives right on the biking trail.
So I have a water thing there, and a lot of people stop in the summertime, and they run out of water while they're biking, and I take care of them.
So good. Yeah. I love volunteering because it gives purpose to our life. Whether you're 20, whether you're 30, whether you're 60, 80, 90, we need to be giving back. Even like if you're watching and you're like, I get in a funk and I deal with depression, or I get into a mentality that I don't have a purpose. This is one of the things that I implement. If I start to feel that way, that I'll just find a way that I could serve somebody else and give back, because it helps us realize life isn't always about us.
That's right.
So share with us for a second just how volunteering has changed your life.
Well, it has really changed my life, volunteering. And then another thing I used to give blood every 6 weeks.
Wow.
And I was O positive. So I had popular blood. Everybody wanted it. But originally, when I was maybe in my 20s or 30s, we used to give blood. They used to pay us, which is was an encouragement to get a little extra money. But I just went every 6 weeks, and I ended up way over 100 pints I've given during my lifetime.
Wow.
And I look back and I say, I wonder where that blood went, but we know it went some good place, and they're not going to throw it away.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're saving lives.
You're
Jack.
saving lives,
So
maybe.
good,
No,
yes.
I wish I could tell where that blood went.
My dad was a recipient of transfusions, so I'm saying thank you on behalf of all those people that you don't even know.
Good. Yeah.
So there's been several times he had to be transfused, and he was an A positive though, so somebody else's blood.
Yeah,
but,
he had a hard time getting blood. Yeah.
Yeah.
O positive. Yeah, come on in. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
So volunteer, be a part of that. That's a part of finding purpose, no matter what stage of life. There's always somebody worse than you. You might think I can't give back, but someone else is always worse off than you are. So let's talk about throwing a party. This is like one of the fun pillars that you talk about in your book, the importance of gathering people.
Yeah. Well, we have a big family. We have a party every year at Christmas time. And we even have a Santa Claus for the youngsters, and the pictures taken with the Santa Claus are priceless later on,
Yes.
And then come Easter time, we had a bunny dressed up, and a lot of the pictures taken. So a lot of the parties we have are family type, and I'm so happy for the kids because they have a chance to meet their nephews and cousins and things like that. And so they always turn out good. And you know what? They're always potluck. Everybody contributes. So it's not expensive or anything like that.
I love that. And I love that part because I love to throw a good party. And we have 5 kids, but you had 12. So how many grandkids, great-grandkids do you have at some of these events?
But it could be over 100.
Wow.
Could be 150. There is a lot of people, and we always take a group picture.
Yeah, there's some in your book. I love it. Yeah. And I love your mentality, Jack. It's like I'm gonna have my family. It's a priority to me, so I'm not gonna stop hosting and making the investment because I imagine it's a lot of work. Even though you keep it simple, you said, hey, let's keep this simple. We're not having fancy food. You don't have to get dressed up. Let's just be together. But it takes work and investment.
Oh, it certainly does. And I'm lucky. I have a place along the bicycle trail, and so when they come, they bring their bicycles and they jump on a trail. They leave and then come back.
Yeah. And you address this in another pillar too. You talk about making new friends, keeping your old friends, but I feel like with the longevity, and you could speak into this, I'm in my 40s and it's hard to make new friends in your 40s. But as you get older and people start to leave and your kids grow, you can get into this mentality of I'm a burden or loneliness or nobody wants to be around me. How would you address that mentality that holds so many people back?
Well, you know what? I see that a lot on Meals on Wheels. And the reason they have people request meals is because they have no family close by, and they're getting to the point where they can't drive to the grocery store. But I encourage people to go to the senior center nearby and try to go a couple times a week. You're going to meet other people that are like you, that are maybe single and need your help and talk.
Yeah. So from your experience just on Meals on Wheels, what amount of people would you say are just like making the decision not to connect and engage? And how much do you think that affects their quality of life?
Well, a lot of them are in apartments, and rental property. And I'll go in and a lot of them have their front door open because they're waiting for me, to bring the food in. And the food's so important to them. And I get a chance to drop it off in the kitchen and have a chance to talk to them, and sometimes they'll say, how's the weather outside? You'd like to say, hey, open up your blinds and look out. It's nice, But when they get to a point where they have nobody to talk to, they don't lift the blinds in some of those apartments, and I feel sorry for them,
Right.
and all day to live like
Yeah.
that. It's sad, you know.
And some people are living like that in their 30s or in their 20s, you know,
Right.
and it's a
Well,
mindset.
that's the hardest thing to take when you have a young girl or a young fellow that's living by themselves, and they're maybe in there on a computer, maybe, or not doing anything at all, and
Yeah.
watching TV, and then next thing you know, they're doing things that are not good for their health, like smoking and stuff like that.
Right. I want to read this testimony from Meredith, who is 40, on relationships and how you address a relationships and throwing a party. She says this: I scheduled a get together, and remember, she's 40. I scheduled a get together with my college roommates for the first time in 10 years. It was out of control and so much fun. So she's talking about how you inspired her to connect, like to throw a party, to cultivate that relationship and connection that we need for our soul for longevity.
All right. You have to have some kind of connection and somebody to talk to. You know, you can't live by yourself and not talk to people, you know. Just watching TV and smoking, forget it. That's not what you should be doing. You should be out walking around and meeting people. And like I encourage the seniors to go to the senior center, because they'll help you.
That's so good. And somebody else needs you. It's not even so much about if you feel
Right.
like you don't need
You can do something for somebody else.
Yes.
Right?
So good. Well, one of the elements that you hit on in your book is your element of faith. You're Catholic, and how important your faith is, and how that's tied to really forgiveness, and how forgiveness can really hurt your health.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Or unforgiveness, rather.
Yeah, I have this place on a trail, and that was a lot that we had purchased from somebody out in the country, and they let us build the prefab building on it, and also we had to pay for it, and the lady that owned it ended up being my wife, because shortly after we built the place, my wife died from a bad heart, and after 60 some years she died. And then across the street, who sold a lot to me, she lost her husband the same year, so we got together. So I remarried, and I'm happy today.
I love your story, and you talk about it's never too late to love again.
Oh no,
and
I'm back in love again.
I love it.
I hate to admit it, but I'm stuck.
Well, you know, my dad, he passed away when he was 80, but we lost my mom when she was 64. And so he lived the remainder of his life. He wouldn't even entertain dating. I think he felt guilty. He felt like he was betraying her. And you dealt with that a little bit in your book. You said, you know, you almost felt like you couldn't fall in love again, right. But you did. And it's okay to love twice is one of your quotes. Definitely.
You know what to do, you know, as far as living with somebody. And it's hard to be single. I've been lucky. That hasn't been part of my life. I've been married.
Yes, and I love your story that that you and now your second wife, you were neighbors, and so you kind of just built this friendship. But tell the story about what you would do in the morning to tell everyone you were okay, to tell each other you were okay.
We were across the street from each other, and of course when I would go home at night, and my bedroom was facing hers, and when I get up in the morning, I'd make sure the blind's up, and she raise her blind over there, saying, "Hey, we're both still living, so we should get together maybe for breakfast."
I love that, yeah. and you developed that friendship.
It just happened.
Now, did Eleanor already like to bike, or is that something?
No, that's something she doesn't do, I don't push it. And she fell off a bike, and I can understand it.
Oh, wow, yes.
But she's active, and she's a good cook too.
She's a good cook. That's good. That's helpful.
That's helpful. Yes.
I'm going to read one of your quotes about marriage. In your book, it said that people thought you were. How old were you when you married again?
Oh, I was in my 90s.
Yes.
Probably 94, maybe. Yeah.
So 94, you're getting married, and people thought you were crazy for doing.
Oh yes, especially my own family.
Yeah.
do you know how old you are and you're getting married again? I said, yes, we're getting married again.
So you had a wedding and your family was there?
Oh, yeah. In fact, we had a bigger wedding than we had originally.
Wow.
For both of us. And we ended up with 300 people at the thing. It was huge. And I liked it because all the grandkids were invited and they had more fun than we did.
Wow.
To get together with each other.
So good. And I love this quote. When people asked you, why you're doing this, he said, it's an opportunity to say, I love you. We're together and we will do this together. And I just love that mentality of you're joining yourself with that other person and you're saying we're doing life together.
Yeah, it's funny how you say, I love you. Yeah, I do love you. Even at that age.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's so good. I love that.
I was lucky. And she's 85 today.
Wow. Okay. Today or just in general?
Yeah. Last week she was 85.
Wow.
So I'm only 97. So we're good.
So you wanted to do relationship again, and you talk about that life happens, right? Like people betray us, we get hurt, and we can either live in a mentality that we're the victim, or we can forgive and move on and keep loving and keep living.
Right. And then it's important because we do things a lot together in regards to church and pray and things like that. Like, this is beginning of Lent. We went to church yesterday together, but I got a sermon today from going to church, and it said that people, when Ash Wednesday comes, they say, oh, that's good. We got through that. Now I don't have to do anything till Easter. And he said, no, you have to do something every day.
That's right.
To make sure that you seek God.
That's right. That is so good.
Like I mentioned a lot of times, when I bought that farm down there in Greene County, we were the second highest point in Greene County down there. And boy, to go out at night and look up at the stars, if you don't believe that in somebody, there's something wrong with you. And that's the first time I ever saw a Milky Way, because I was always raised in a city, and to see that, it's beautiful. It's
so good.
Yeah.
What's the number one way that you feel like your faith has sustained you through marriage, military, 12 kids, losing your wife, and just your overall mentality?
Well, I say I'm lucky. I had 12 children and they were all healthy. And I was lucky they all got married and left. But they're half of them went to college and half didn't. But the other half that didn't go, their income and everything is the same as the ones that went to college. And the reason for that is that he went to trade school.
Yeah, that's good.
And today that's important, trade school.
Right.
And they were beauticians. They used they're building and sewing and stuff like that. And I got one that's in the airlines. She quit college to go to the airlines, and she's happy. But they were 6 and 6. I can say they're all the same.
So God's been good.
God's been good.
God has been faithful through it all. And,
sure.
And I love that. And I love the last pillar that you talk about in your book is it's never too late. Never too late to start. And so you started later in life, and you won your first gold medal at 93 years old.
Yes.
What did it feel like when they were putting that gold medal on you?
Well, I was so happy. I was down at Florida, and I went down there with the intentions of getting 5 gold medals. And guess what? Those races I beat somebody by a finger, But I come home with 5 gold medals.
Wow,
and I was so happy. And that's going to be hard to beat.
You set a goal and you hit it.
So I'm looking for at least 3 gold medals up at Iowa.
Yes.
I hope.
Well, I'm going to be cheering you on. I'm like going to be asking your daughter Mary. I'll be like, keep me updated. This is amazing. And then you set the record for the 10K in bicycling for 95 and older bracket.
Right. Yes, I did.
So you're a record holder.
Yeah. They a lot of people say, "Oh, you didn't have any competition." Hey, I was on the bike and I was on the trail. A lot of people aren't.
That's right. Well, you put it in daily. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I try to bike every day if I can.
Yeah.
But you can't because of the weather.
Right. But you do other things to move.
Oh, so. Yeah. Well, I swear by my exercise. And a stationary bike, I love it.
Yes.
You know.
I love this quote from one of the testimonies. It's Colleen, who is 30, and in response to "It's never too late" in your last pillar, she said to her husband, "Let's get back in the pool. We want to join. Will you join master swimming with me?" So, saying, "Hey, let's get back in the pool now. Let's start something new." And it's never too late to start. My husband just started training again last year for doing triathlons, and we're in our 40s.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, but that mentality that it's never too late. And I want to quote you, if that's okay, and then
Sure.
you can speak into it. You say the secret to aging stronger isn't about biking 20 miles a day. It's about finding activities you love and making time for them with the people you care about. And so you go on to say, it might be harder than it was at 30, and you might be scared to do something new, but be scared and do it anyway.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel. Yeah.
Yes.
That's exactly.
So speak to us about that mentality. Just do it.
Well,
do it.
The thing is, if you do it, you're going to find out that you encourage somebody else to do it at the same age. And once they get in the routine of doing it, they're so happy to say, "Hey, I'm glad you told me about this."
So good.
Yeah.
Well, you've inspired so many. You've inspired me, so many. And then in your book, you talk about not only these amazing pillars, but you give tips. You give a picture of, well, here's a picture here of some of the exercises that you've done, some pictures of your family, and tips for starting an exercise routine. And you keep it really simple, make it fun. Find something you love, set a goal, try something new, make space in your house that reminds you to exercise.
Right.
And remember why you want to exercise, to age stronger, and play great music. I love that.
You got to have the music.
Great music.
You talk to Google and Alexa, and she'll tell.
Yeah.
Those girls are really good. They'll play anything you want.
That is right.
Yeah.
That is so good. And
I love Elvis.
Oh, yes. That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah.
So
Elvis.
So.
And that's a big reminder to it. He died very young.
Yeah.
He died very young, and he was overweight when he died. And you don't want to be in that kind of category. Be active. And it's just sad, but his music is good.
Yes, his music is good. Well, Jack, you've inspired us all to keep living, to keep living our best life, to keep enjoying the people who are around us, and to take care of this body that we need to enjoy life on earth. How would you, as we're wrapping up this time together, how would you inspire us to live a life that is long and good?
Well, I would encourage you to get in the habit of taking your exercise every day. Honest to gosh, you'll look back on it and you'll be so glad you did it, because you feel good after you do it. And you have to do it every day.
Yeah.
There's days you don't have to do it because you can't do it. But if you get in a routine of, it's only 1 hour. 1 hour of the whole day. You can do it. You can. Yeah. You don't have to go to a spa or do it. You can do it in your bedroom.
That's
a lot of your exercises. And if you have a nice game room or something like that to do it in, why, that's fine. But I encourage everybody to be active and turn the music on. That helps you get through the routine if you get bored.
That's right. Turn some Elvis on.
Yeah, turn some Elvis on.
It'll be so good. Well, you've inspired us. Thank you so much for sharing your tips and just your overall who you are. It's inspiring to just be around you and inspiring us to live a long, healthy life and be connected to the people that are around you. Have relationships, live in forgiveness. Don't hold on to junk that's not worth it, and keep hitting those goals. Keep making goals because it's never too late to be a champion.
That's right. You've done a good job.
So good,
Joie.
so
Thank
good,
you.
Jack. Thank you for coming. Road to 100. How can they get the road to 100?
They can write in the back. It gives you.
Okay, let's see. We will put in the notes how you can get this book. Get it, buy it for somebody. I'm telling you, it's an amazing. It's a quick read. There's lots of pictures, but it's life changing.
Yeah.
So get this book. Support Jack and all that he's doing, and we're all cheering. You have like a whole fan base now that's going to be cheering you on.
Good.
In Iowa in 2025. Thank you
I'll
so
need
much,
that.
Jack.
I need everybody that. Hey, Jack, do it.
Do it. That is right.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Jack. And thank you for watching today. Leave some comments, share this podcast with somebody who might enjoy us. And then stay tuned next week as we're talking about relationships. I have another guest. My hubby is going to be joining us talking about navigating conflict and communication in relationships. But we'll talk to you soon on the Joie Miller Podcast. Thanks for joining us again.